got some amazing young men here to talk about the issue relating to Sha'Carri Richardson and the cancel culture. So for those of you that just landed from Mars and just parked out back, yeah, she was taken off the Olympic team, 30-day suspension, I believe it is. And so I've got Bob Tyler, a business and community leader, clerical leader, and also a successful brother in the area of construction, IGWT Construction and Developing, and also the father of a young and dynamic track star on the rise, whether she likes it or not, it is what it is. And I've got Terrence. And by the way, Bob is in Miami. Terrence is in Southern California, Palmdale to be exact. Coach, mentor, strategist, and you too have some wins under your belt when it comes to young people, and especially in area track. So guys, thanks for being here. Okay, so Sha'Carri smoked marijuana legal in California where you are, about to be legal here in Florida, has been legal all of her life. And she talked about being depressed and having some horrible news of death of her biological mother, and these are the things, but she didn't make any excuses and held herself accountable. What are you saying to young people, and what do you say to young people in this particular case about this situation, and what were your immediate emotions, if you could, real quick? Let's start with you, Bob.
I gotta tell you, man, I crashed like a ton of bricks when I first got the news because, like everybody else, my expectations for Sha'Carri were so high. And I know what she was going to do in Tokyo. So we watched her in person here in Miramar when she came over to Anson Park. So I took that personally as if it were my daughter. But beyond that, it became a teaching moment. And so you embrace every teaching moment, and we have to tell our young ladies, not just, you mentioned that she was well within legalities in certain areas. But when you make a decision, there are ramifications and down the line impacts of it. And that's what we want our young people to consider, specifically our daughters, that when you do something, when you make a decision, not just the direct, but the indirect effects of that you have to consider. I'm not coming down hard on Sha'Carri. Those are part of growing pains. She's gonna grow up. She's gonna be around 4 years from now. She's gonna be around 10 years from now. My prayers are with her. She's a baby, man. She's a young girl, and if you want to call that a mistake, it was simply a young girl mistake.
Well, you know, not unlike Bob, I'm not coming down too hard on Sha'Carri. It just speaks to the dichotomy of what our larger issues are, and especially Sha'Carri, you know, being a young black woman, a young black athlete. I mean, our history as a people with the Olympics, Olympic Committee, I mean, it's storied, you know, and so this is just one long line of an epic of stories. And I guess what surprised me the most about the story recently is that, yes, she is living in a culture where she was born and marijuana is legal. Now it's legal in many of the states. It will be legal federally soon, maybe, you know, but in at the state level across the country, it's legal in so many states. You know, I've had this conversation just yesterday with a young football quarterback that I'm mentoring. He's just now entering high school. He's 10th grade, they want to start him, but yet we know the pressure from athletes, and particularly in basketball and football, we see this, and I've had to talk to numerous athletes about the responsible activity, what it takes to be an athlete, particularly a black athlete, in a position like that, or in a position where Sha'Carri is, where the spotlight is on her all the time. And then you get this test that comes, and it says you're positive for marijuana use. And this is what's accepted in your culture. This is what's encouraged in your culture. This is the pressure from your peers all the time. But what I just find perplexing is that why is the pressure always on our athletes? Our athletes in particular, because young black athletes hold the weight of the world on. I mean, like you said, you have a young daughter, Bob, that's a budding track star. And Sha'Carri, she looks up to, I'm sure. And many of our track stars, from Carl Lewis all the way back to Jesse Owens, you know, They carry the weight of the Black community on them. It's hard. She said, I just had a death. This is hard. This exists in our community. I understand why young Black people in particular, or like we say, the cancel culture is reacting in such a way that they still want her to participate. They will circulate a petition. The last I saw had some 260,000 signatures or something like that. Then at the same time, as a coach and a parent, you know, I recall young football players. You know, I had one in particular in 2016, lost a scholarship to Oklahoma because of his marijuana use, or because they went on his Facebook page and they saw that some of his relatives were affiliated with the Crips. And our young athletes don't understand the level of scrutiny because all they're taught to do is run, you know what, run. And then how much of the cancel culture wants to have her back just to run, you know what, run, as opposed to really caring about the conversation.
Yeah.
Because the real conversation is that a lot of Black people still feel disrespected right now in this country. So that's the larger conversation. And I don't like issues like what's going on with Sha'Carri, as huge as it is for us, and as huge as an opportunity as it is for her. I don't like issues like that to be a distraction from the real things that are facing our Black athletes and all of our people in this country at this particular time.
Terrence mentioned an athlete that he was familiar with that was ostracized because of his family's association with one of the local gangs, right? Mm-hmm. And if you and I look back in Obama's first term, they ostracized him because of his association with a pastor named Jeremiah Wright. So when we, whether it's athletics, politics, in this country, this America, the only thing they love more than watching somebody rise, whether it be athletes or politics, is watching them fall.
Sir.
And they'll create a scenario to facilitate that fall, because the instance with Sha'Carri could have been pardoned. It could have been, overlooked, and I'm not saying that breaking the rules is okay and that we should send that message. Mm-hmm. But I am saying that there are other degrees, more severe degrees, by other international athletes that have gone unostracized. So yeah, we know where we are, and we know the times that we live in, and I want our people, particularly our young people, to be cognizant of that as they climb and move forward.
Yes. Just to piggyback on that, if I may, Tony.
Please.
You know, it's such a how do you say it? Just a crazy sort of time when, you know, in dealing with the Olympic Committee, why is this getting so much attention? But when it came out that over 290 coaches of the Olympic team were involved in sexual abuse and pedophilic activities with many of these athletes. I mean, that's on for just a moment. And then all of a sudden, you know, that story washes away. But our athlete gets all this because she possibly smoked marijuana. I don't know if she did edibles or what. And then, you know, you have the historical aspect of, you know, track in particular. I mean, let's deal with the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. How John Carlos and Tommy Smith lost their professional careers simply because they raised a fist like this. But yet in 2021, after the bloody summer of 2020 and a storming on the Capitol, what better time is it to raise a fist? You see? And yet, you know, Tommy Smith and John Carlos had to suffer their whole life, and not one fuss was made. Nothing was made, you know, about what they had to go through. We don't even teach our children that sort of hypocrisy that existed, but yet we have to focus all this on Sha'Carri Richardson when basically she's just a product of the environment. And then the environment is so messed up because we know brothers and sisters that have been in jail for 20, 25 years because of the laws concerning marijuana, which even if you deal with the song, Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, every time that song is played at the Olympics. But yet, what was the environment when he recorded that song? My being a veteran of the music industry, I'm pretty sure when he recorded there was plenty of weed up in that studio, right?
And who knows what else? You know,
Exactly.
You make a good point. You guys are right there. I mean, it's not like you're some guys pulled off the street who happen to look good and have good hair, but
Thank you, brother.
but you guys really are in the mix of athletics, and you guys are producing high quality talent, either through family or relationships that you have. Is this time for the Olympics and other professional sports to begin to change with the times? I mean, where are we with this?
Absolutely. Being here in California, where this thing has been legal in some way, shape, form, or fashion for 20 years now, the first state to jump to legalization when it came to medicinal treatment, and you know, being around, particularly like I said, basketball and football, where we know our players, you know, many of them have been using for a while, and then many of the coaches at the NBA level, you know, have used for a while. I mean, there's still a question in this country as it pertains to marijuana being listed as a Schedule I drug federally on the same par as heroin. It's a shame. Even now, while we have legalization at the statehood level, but not at the federal level. So even in the workforce, I mean, if you get caught drug tested here in California at many companies, you'll be fired if you fail that drug test, just like Sha'Carri. But yet, everywhere you go, it's legal. Everywhere in Southern California, you go down in the LA area, you can smell it in the atmosphere. It's just as common as a smog, right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
you know,
yes.
that's a powerful point, brother. I mean, that is mind-boggling, Terrence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna speak prophetically about what I would love to see happen. All of our Black superstar athletes who are being picked up by these major D1 universities, Michigan, LSU, USC, University of Miami, all of them are going to start going to HBCUs. And then the HBCUs are going to get elevated, and then we'll put ourselves in position to negotiate for ourselves as opposed to being a pawn in these chess games. I don't know if that's a decade from now. I don't know if it's 2 decades from now, but I believe that's where it's headed.
Bob, to your point, it's already happening as far as basketball players. You know, we had Thom Maker, his brother, basically went to Howard, went over to an HBCU and numerous others. I mean, we've had Mikey Green look hard at HBCUs in basketball out here. You're talking about 5-star basketball players out of the state of California. But yes, Tony, I think you're right. I think your prophecy is coming true, but it also speaks to the larger question of even Olympic athletes. Say she didn't test positive, goes on, wins all these gold medals, or 4x1 team sets records. What type of professional life is a Black athlete like Sha'Carri with long nails and colored hair going to have as opposed to the white female athlete that's in gymnastics or something? Well, we can't say that, but even, because Simone Biles is there now, but still. I mean, that's a larger question. What type of professional career can these athletes have? And unfortunately for us in this country, gentlemen, in my point of view, it always comes down to this right here.
Yeah.
Always. Whether we're talking about marijuana or bankability. Always.
Yeah, well said. I appreciate it. All right, so you heard it directly from the guys right there on the sidelines, pushing these athletes to the next level. Also, amazing role models in our community, not role models for Black folks, role models for young folks, period. I think that's really important to note. So again, Terrence, Mr. Powell over there in Southern California, thank you so much for weighing in. Keep doing the amazing work with your own kids who are growing up quickly, and also the ones that you touch in football, basketball, and track and otherwise. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, brother. And you keep doing the same. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Bob Tyler, for you, thank you so much for all you do for our community. from a clerical standpoint, as a business leader, and as a parent who's really got a daughter who's lighting it up on the track. So thanks very much for that. And with that said, guys, I'm going to close it, wrap it up. This is Tony Lassane, weighing in Beyond Insight. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, hit the bell for notifications, like, make a comment. We want to hear from you. And by all means, be safe and be blessed. See you next time.